you deal with Mary haters? I used to be a Mary hater. Best Catholic books to read over the summer. If you had a time machine, which saint would you love to meet? Forcing you to offer a pagan sacrifice or brainwashed against their will to hate Catholicism. How do you deal with haters on your channel? What makes you happy so that you do it every day? Hey guys, it's Lizzie. Today I'm doing another Q&A Ask Lizzie video. I will link below a playlist to all of the Q&A videos on my channel. I have been doing this Ask Lizzie series since 2012 when I was a senior in high school. So it goes way back and there have been so many questions through the years. Before we get into the video, make sure that you are following me on my Instagram and my Twitter. Make sure that you are subscribed to my channel and click the bell button next to the subscribe button to turn on notifications and be on notification squad. I have also linked below my Patreon. There's a lot of fun rewards where I follow you guys on social media, where we Skype together. You can make video requests. You can be in a video. There are so many rewards on my Patreon. It's just patreon.com/LizziesAnswers, and that will be linked below as well. What is your favorite emoji? So I'm just gonna put on the screen all of the emojis I use the most when I text. These are the emojis I use. Comment below your top emojis. I'm so curious to see what you guys use. Anytime someone does that on like Instagram or Twitter and they're like, comment all your emojis, I'm shocked because the emojis people use are never the ones that I use. Brooke Armistead, what do you do if the company you work for has different values than you as a Catholic? Should we leave or tolerate and evangelize? So as long as a company is not forcing you to offer a pagan sacrifice and do idolatry and deny the faith, deny that Jesus is God, as long as it's not that extreme, I think it's fine, and I think it is amazing to stay and evangelize and be a Catholic light. And this is why, like, I went to a Christian university, but I am all for people going to public school growing up, going to secular universities, state schools. I think it's so important to be surrounded by non-Catholics and to become friends with people. That's literally the only way to evangelize, if you have friends who are not Catholics. So I would stay, and I think it will make your faith stronger being in an environment where everyone disagrees with you. The little way to holiness. How do you deal with haters on your channel? So I have been doing YouTube for 10 years, and so at the beginning I just got used to people bullying and being mean and trying to knock you down because they're insecure and lonely within their own life. But I think the hardest thing of being a YouTuber has been reading messages from my subscribers who love me of the horrible things going on in their lives, of having suicidal thinking, their parents are getting divorced, really bad breakups, emotional abuse, spiritual doubts, eating disorders, mental illness, so many things going on in people's lives. And when I started my channel, it was literally teenagers and people in middle school who were messaging me with such hard things they were going through, and it makes me cry. And it was so hard to not put my entire soul into that and only focus on YouTube and helping people. So that's been a lot harder than hate comments. And I honestly feel like if you're really close to God and have a beautiful relationship with God and you find your identity solely in Him, other people cannot get to you and cannot hurt you. Like, obviously the people closest to you will, but people who you don't know, they're not gonna hurt you if you're close to God. So I recommend just praying daily, reading your Bible every day, going to Mass, receiving the Eucharist, going to confession, doing everything that will make you closer to God. Michelle says, do you consider yourself a minimalist because of all the traveling you do, like living out of a suitcase going to Thailand? Yes. I think actual minimalists would be like, no, you have way too many clothes. But compared to the average person, I barely have any possessions. Like, all of my makeup can fit in a box. My jewelry can fit in like a small jewelry case. So when I was in college, I spent each of my summers in Thailand doing missions work, and then I went to college in California. My parents were in Florida, so just constant plane tickets. And then after graduation, I travel all the time to visit my friends and for speaking engagements. So I'm always used to having everything in a suitcase, and because of that, I'm very minimalist, but I'm really bad because my bags are always like overweight because I am trying to get a lot of clothes and shoes packed in. True minimalists would say no, absolutely not. Get rid of 90% of your wardrobe. But other than that, so I'm not a minimalist, but I am. She also says, what did your family do for Father's Day? So I was actually planning on visiting my parents this summer and I can't. So we just talked on the phone for 2 hours. My dad shared a ton of stories from his life. I love listening to my dad. He's had such a fascinating life. So it makes me so happy, and it just reminds me of my childhood where he would just tell so many stories of growing up and being in the military and working for a newspaper when he was an adult and being a missionary. Like, so many experiences my dad has had, and he understands me the most of anyone in my life, which is why you guys know when I became Catholic, it was horrible because I had to tell my dad and I felt like I was deserting him, betraying him, and hurting him. But we're on really good terms now. I'm on such good terms with my family, with me being Catholic. So I promise it gets better. Just pray and pray and pray and the relationships will heal. Wag tab. If you had a time machine, which saint would you love to meet? I know I should probably say my patron saint, but I would rather meet Saint Paul, who wrote a lot of the New Testament, who was the one to evangelize to the Gentiles. He is just so amazing. I have fallen in love with his writing style and his heart growing up reading through the Bible, and so I would love to meet him and thank him and hug him. I'm so excited to meet him in heaven for sure. I will thank him so much. I'll thank so many people, but I feel like growing up Protestant, because I didn't really have access to the other saints, I only had the Bible, and so he was my main saint growing up, besides Jesus' teachings and the letters of Peter and James, but mostly it was Paul who wrote the majority of the New Testament. How do you deal with Mary haters? Parentheses, those who hate Mother Mary, I can't even talk, those who hate Mother Mary, tear crying emoji. So the reason I'm laughing is because I used to be a Mary hater. I thought Catholics worship Mary, put way too much emphasis on her. I hated when she was mentioned at Mass. Even when I was converting into Catholicism and beyond, I still felt so uncomfortable with Mary. So if you're not a convert, just believe me that Protestants and even non-Protestants in the US grow up with so much baggage and lies and so many misconceptions about what the Catholic Church actually teaches. So just let it go and accept that people were brainwashed against their will to hate Catholicism. And the best thing that we can do is just love these people and show charity to them and understand that it's not their fault. And the only way that people are going to accept the fullness of the faith and understand Mary as our spiritual mother and become Catholic is if we're loving and gentle and chill and patient and don't lash out or get angry or like try to defend ourselves so intensely. Just listen to people and wait until they ask you questions, and pray and pray and pray for everyone's conversion into Catholicism. Like, every single day you should be praying for everyone in your life who is not Catholic. Create a prayer journal, make a list, pray your rosary every day. From Jacob, hey Lizzie, how's your Sunday? I'm actually filming during the day, which is crazy because I always film at like 11 p.m. or 1 in the morning. I don't know why, it's just my routine. So today I had to film in a different place because the light would come in. I have been researching for a video script on the 7 books of the Old Testament that the Protestants removed from the Bible. So that is an upcoming video. I've been learning so much, but it's so complicated because I have to learn how the entire Hebrew Bible was put together as well. So I am learning a lot. That's how my Sunday is going. What is your favorite Bible story? So this is really hard, but my current favorite is Luke 24. So this is after Jesus is resurrected from the dead. He's on the road to Emmaus with 2 of his disciples, but they don't recognize him at first. So they're walking down the road for hours, and Jesus is talking about how his ministry fulfilled the prophets and the law, and how the old covenant is connected to the new covenant. I always get shivers when I talk about this. So then they sit down for a meal, and it uses the same exact language in the communion accounts in the Gospels. And then it says, Jesus was made known in the breaking of the bread. And then they recognize him and realize he is Jesus. So he was made known in the breaking of the bread. That's another passage in the New Testament talking about the real presence of the Eucharist. You're welcome. Isn't that an amazing, amazing story? How many kids do you want? I want to have 4 kids. I want to have 2 natural kids and adopt 2 kids, just because my dad grew up in the foster care system and was adopted, so I know how horrible it is for children. For a lot of children have a bad experience. My dad did. So I want to save children from having to deal with that and have them in a loving home. So I definitely want to adopt, but also in Catholicism, a core part of sex, like the core part of sex, is procreation. So obviously I'm going to be open to life if I get married and not use birth control or contraception and be open to however many children God wants for me. But because I have bipolar disorder, I would have to go off my medication to get pregnant. So that's why I don't want to naturally have like 7 kids, because I would be off meds for like a decade and I don't want to deal with that. So that's why I want to adopt kids as well. And I made an entire video talking about the church's view on natural family planning, NFP, which some people call the rhythm method, and we discuss in the video the definitions of everything and how you can use it, why you can use it, when you can use it. So that video is super informative. I interviewed an NFP instructor, so that will be linked below. So then we have a lot of questions about if I've watched certain movies or certain shows. Have you watched the movie Harriet? Have you watched Story Keepers? Have you watched The Chosen? I don't watch movies very often, but recently I've watched 2 movies that I'll talk about. So on Netflix, I watched The 13th, which talks about systemic racism in the United States, in the criminal justice system, in our prison system. It talks about it from the very beginning, so when slavery was made illegal. From that point, they begun arresting Black people for really minor crimes like being homeless or loitering and putting them in jail and then doing forced labor in jail. And then it talks about all the way up to the war on drugs and then what we're dealing with today and possible solutions, all of that. So I highly recommend that movie. I learned so much. And then also on Amazon Prime, I literally today just finished watching a movie called The Hate U Give, and it's based upon a fiction book about a police shooting. And I love the main character so much, and she was portrayed beautifully by the actress who was in the Hunger Games. So it's an amazing movie. I cried a lot at so many different points in the movie. It's very emotional, it's hard to watch, but you connect so much to the characters. Because so many people are talking about Black Lives Mattering right now, I think that these 2 movies are so amazing to educate ourselves and to just understand more what Black people in this country have to go through. Best Catholic books to read over the summer. So I picked 3 selections to show to you guys. So instead of just hardcore apologetics, theology, church fathers, I picked 3 books that read like fiction because they're just autobiography stories of saints' lives. So the first one is called The 7-Story Mountain by Thomas Merton. I'm only 100 pages into this, so my goal is to finish reading this over the summer. I kind of took a break. It's very intense. He goes through so much as a child. So this is a modern story. This is from the 20th century. Then going way back to the 4th century is St. Augustine and his Confessions. It's also an autobiography by one of the doctors of the church and church fathers. I love Augustine so much. He's my boyfriend's patron saint, so I pray to him all the time when I'm praying for my boyfriend. I love him. I was literally gifted a relic of St. Augustine who lived in the 4th and 5th century. So I will link below the video of me unboxing the Augustine relic. I was like dying of happiness. It was so amazing. Then A Story of a Soul by St. Teresa de Lisieux. She was living in the 18th century. Let's see. January 1895, 19th century. So she's pretty recent as well, but this is her autobiography, so if you're looking for a feminine voice, this is good too. I just think it's really fun doing chill theology sometimes rather than always being like apologetics, church fathers, proven Catholicism, why this is the original church established by Jesus. Instead, just reading enriching stories about people's lives. It's just very chill, and I think it's good summer reading. Fatima says, what makes you happy so that you do it every day? Talking to my friends. During quarantine, I have gotten so much closer to all of my friends. Usually we'll talk like once a month for an hour. Now it's like every week for 3 hours with a lot of my friends because you just get so lonely and there's nothing to do and I can't visit them. I had so many trips to visit my friends and family that had to be canceled. So I've been getting so close to my friends by walking around in the sun, talking on the phone and FaceTiming. So that makes me so happy. And of course, I talk to my boyfriend every day as well. I talk to my parents once a week. Every Sunday I call them. I also love reading, playing guitar, editing YouTube videos, reading and researching for YouTube videos. So I basically love my job because I get to work from home and do YouTube full time. So I'm constantly happy all the time. Like, I barely cry anymore either. I used to cry like every day because I didn't know I was bipolar, and it's called crying spells. It's like a symptom in depression. And even when I wasn't in depression, I would cry so much. And I literally don't cry anymore, and I'm just happy and content and free. And yeah, so it gets better. Like, if you're in a spot right now and you cry all the time and you're really sad and you don't have close friends, like, it will get better. Things can change, so just keep holding on and you'll be shocked in a few years how different your life can be. Oh, also, I work out every single day. Sometimes I go running outside with my mask, and then other times I do YouTube workouts at home. Mackenzie Duffy 918. When did you first go vegan? Why did you finally decide? And how did you tell those close to you? So I recommend 4 documentaries: Earthlings, Food Inc., Cowspiracy, and Forks Over Knives. I'm going to link all of them below. You can watch them on Netflix or on YouTube. So I became vegan because of animal cruelty in the factory farm system, because of the environment. The animal agriculture industry is the #1 contributor to greenhouse gases, so that's important to me, and then also for my health. There is a lot of cancer in my family. My relatives have died growing up of cancer. It's been very traumatizing, and I don't want to do that to my kids. And so I know the #1 way to prevent cancer is to eat a plant-based diet. I have an entire playlist of all of my vegan videos, especially a video I made 2 summers ago, 3 reasons every Christian should go vegan. So all of that will be linked below and up in the cards. I went vegan in 2015, so at the very beginning of my senior year of college. But I had been vegetarian in the past when I was a senior in high school. Up until my sophomore year in college, I was vegetarian. Then I was constantly iron deficient, and I was just like, I'm gonna eat meat again, which is so stupid. Just take an iron supplement instead and change your diet so that you have iron-rich foods. Because I've been vegetarian in the past, it wasn't surprising to the majority of people in my life. And actually, a lot of my friends started going vegan or eating more vegan and asking me questions about it. So I feel like it's been a really good influence to everyone in my life. Like, obviously not everyone is vegan, but a lot of people eat more vegan and healthier, and they are helping the earth and helping the animals by being partially vegan, which I really appreciate. And I tell people in my live streams, we always end up talking about veganism, and it helps so much if you just decrease the amount of animal products you eat, not go fully vegan. I know a lot of people just will never be fully vegan, so just go part way and you'll help so many animals and you'll help the earth, and you will be less likely to get cancer. That is all for this video. I love you guys so much. I have linked below my playlist to the 100 Catholic videos I've made, the 60 bipolar disorder videos I've made, and then all of my Ask Lizzie videos as well. I love you guys so much, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!